What's up? Monday Night Raw in the Earlverse. Hope everyone had a good weekend. You know the deal. We do tight streams here. Hit the like button if you can. Good evening, Night Moose, Queen On, Kip Smith, my moderator, William Zoom, and Michael Trevor, and who's ever lurking. I know we got some lurkers in here. Yes, Caitlin Clark's pretty hot. She really is a difference maker. I mean, we have a WNBA game on live television, and it's a good game. It's 84-82. The Sun, I'm not sure where they're from. I'm not even sure where the Fever are. I'm waiting for the Oilers and Canucks Game 7. Should be a real dilly. I mean, win or go home. I mean, she probably is the next booker at the Ice House. I wouldn't know. The Ice House and I have not worked together for a few months. It's strange to me, but are you going to attend a WNBA game if Clark comes to town? No. I will not be attending a WNBA game under any circumstance. No. It's nothing against women's basketball. It's just not my thing. I just prefer male sports. I'm not trying to be controversial. Like, women's hockey is great. The women might be dirtier than the men in hockey, but I just prefer to watch the men play. Yes, hit the like button, pretty please. I mean, my last basketball game I went to, it had to be a Laker game, but it's been a very long time, I'll be honest with you. I've never attended an arena football game, a USFL game. Probably the wackiest sporting event I've ever attended. I've been very lucky. I've been to Super Bowls. I remember the one Super Bowl I went to was in Pasadena, and it was the Bills against the Giants. And I remember I sat next to legendary linebacker Sam Huff, but I didn't know who he was. But man, every 2 minutes, people wanted his autograph. I've been to World Series, Dodgers and Yankees. Been to Stanley Cup Finals, Kings and the Canadians. But probably the wackiest sporting event I was ever in attendance at was the LA Lasers indoor soccer team at the Forum. And I remember that, I don't know why I remember these two names so specifically, but it was Beto and Batata. Yes, I attended hundreds of hockey games, hundreds. And of course, many, many wrestling events, XPW, WWE, AEW. If you want to see me on TV next, I will be sitting in the front row, camera side for AEW Dynamite. So watch AEW Wednesday night. I will be wearing my striped beanie hat for identification purposes. Stagwar, I might have to give you your money back on that one. I've put myself a gag order on a name in that super chat. But Stagwar, $2. I'll do it this last time. Predator reboot with Dalia, Callan, and Ross. I have to move on at some point, but I appreciate your early contribution to the Earlverse. Yes, the best part of the hockey is the fighting, but they don't fight anymore. Uh, and I bet the Globetrotters won. Yes, Ross from Friends I can talk about. Jim Ross from AEW. H. Ross Perot. I don't know who you're talking about, Stagwar. I know what you're trying to do. Let's just say I like my spots at the Comedy Store. You can read into that whatever you'd like. Uh, I put a gag order before on many women. Hello, boing boing. So I'm excited. AEW Wednesday night, and I guess they film Rampage too. So I will be on TV this week with my beanie, and I plan on wearing my Will Ospreay track jacket. So when he comes out, he'll give me a high five, and I might even put on my Bruv T-shirt. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll get involved in a match. Um, no, I didn't give Patty Please that. I wanted to. I can't believe I kissed her, but she caught me in a moment of weakness. So thoughts and prayers. Let's go. Let's switch subjects. Lois is having a little tummy and heart problem. So let's all, even if you don't pray, thumbs up, guns up to Lois. Uh, I don't know. I mean, at some point, Ahmed, I don't, he probably will get in before Kamala too. I know a WNBA game is getting better love than Game 7 in hockey. No respect, no respect. And of course, this game is probably going to go into overtime. Yes, hard camera side. I am section A, seat 3. So I would be, if you're watching on TV, I would be uh, my left, TV right. Trust me, I'm not a hard guy to mess. Yeah, Vince loved those big bodies. I don't treat myself often these days, so I thought, well, I can't go to Vegas, um, so I'm gonna go. And I could have gotten free tickets from multiples of people I know in AEW, but I was like, you know what? I want to sit in the front row. I've never sat in the front row for wrestling. Uh, well, that's not true. My good friend used to run the box office at Staples Center, so he got me front row for Monday Night Raw, and when Batista walked by me, I called him a word that, let's just say, rhymes with maggot, and he got in my face and he poked me on the chest. He's like, "Takes one to know one." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, man," and he kind of winked at me. So, you get caught up. I mean, the language they use in pro wrestling crowds is out of control. There's like little kids around and stuff. Earl, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna hold up a sign, man. I'm way too lazy for that. Um, Now if someone wants to make me a sign and give it to me, I love Sid Vicious, one of my favorites. I was just watching him in War Games when he power bombed Brian Pillman so hard the first time. He didn't realize in a steel cage that Sid's probably 6'7", 6'8". The cage is only 8 feet tall, at least the one they were using for War Games. So he picks up Pillman, lifts him up. Pillman hits his head on the top of the cage, is knocked out cold, and then Sid picks him up again and power bombs him. I mean, he didn't give a fuck. And I don't think this was supposed to happen, but then Giant Gonzalez was the one they sent out from the locker room to like signal to Sid, "Hey, man, he's fucked up." It's funny that they just, they picked like the slowest guy backstage to go out there and like save Pillman. Yeah, I mean that. Can you imagine a drunk Arn Anderson and probably a roided up Sid Vicious and trying to stab each other. That had to be pretty scary sight. Uh, yeah, I was watching live TV when that happened. Um, I mean, it's fun, William, if you realize what it is. I mean, I don't like saying it's fake because, those guys are fucking athletes, man. You can't tell me what Will Ospreay does isn't impressive. By the way, Will Ospreay is in a tag match against Roderick Strong, so I'm excited that I get to see Will Ospreay. Crush was all right. Yeah, I can't watch those Gigi Allen videos. Gigi Allen was like into like doo doo and stuff. Uh, I mean, I think they wanted to make Sid the champ before Ultimate Warrior, and then, Sid, I think he was literally like, "I wanna play softball instead." Like, he was really into softball, so, um, it would have been, interesting, to see what would have happened. I mean, he had the look, and it's kinda funny, he's kinda like the Ultimate Warrior. Like, their promos were insane, but you still remember them to this day. I'm like, can you name me one Don Morocco promo who was great, but everyone remembers the Sid, when he was talking to Kevin Nash. You're not half the man I am, and I don't have half the brain you have. And then, all right, well, thank God this game didn't go into overtime. The Sun, the Connecticut Sun beat I don't know where the Fever are from, 84, 88 to 84. The Connecticut Sun. I can't believe I'm giving WNBA scores, but such is life in the world of the Earlverse. Uh, I don't think they're bad at basketball. I just think that they are the Indianapolis Fever. Sorry about that. It's just they can't do what the men can. Like, I want to see dunks and like just they're women. Now, it's like watching the LPGA golf versus PGA golf. LPGA golfers are amazing, but they can't hit a 350-yard drive. I want to see that shit. I did tip the big black guy. Was it $40? 50 actually with the tip. And he literally just squirted dish soap on my but I was intimidated. I was just dating this girl. I just started dating this girl, so she was working for the Backstreet Boys at the time. So she's like, "Hey, come out, see the Backstreet Boys." And I had an all access pass. And I actually, it was a good show. I mean, to this day, it's probably the best show I've been to in terms of the reaction those guys were getting in the arena. But then about halfway through, I just started walking around backstage and I snuck into the Chicago Wolves locker room, and I could have stolen a lot of stuff and never been caught, but I was just like and then a big union guy came and, "What the fuck you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not really a Backstreet Boys fan. I'm a big hockey guy." He's like, "Okay, you can hang out, but don't fucking take anything." There's just like gloves, sticks, just game worn jerseys. They must have just done laundry, so all the jerseys were um, hanging. And I do enjoy Huey Lewis in the news. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big WNBA fan, but hip to be square. The broads are bad. I mean, I just think like I don't really want to see like three pointers and like jump shots. I want to see dunks. My favorite Huey Lewis song is uh, "Do You Believe in Love." Great video. I mean, a little stalkerish than the video where the poor girl's just trying to sleep and she wakes up and she's got the whole fucking band in her bed. Yeah, I'm not criticizing the WNBA if you like seeing like set shots and diagrammed plays, but You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming most of them don't have a great vertical leap. Spud Webb and Muggsy Bogues, I think, could dunk. Had great vertical leap. So, uh, well, I don't want to see dongs bouncing out of shorts, but you probably could still see that with some of these girls. Now that got me into thinking, what if a woman is trans? Can a trans player play in the WNBA? Um, I know. I mean, the basketball. Oh my God, what a save the Vancouver goalie just made! Like, wow, what a save! We are 18 minutes in the first period, and we've already had several big saves on both sides. Um, and yeah, I don't think you're gonna raise the big check there. I mean, this is game seven, baby. Like, even the players who don't play physical in game seven. Uh, Oh, I love Kay Lenz. She was hot back in the day. I think, one of my favorite videos in terms of creepiness, um, it's Benny Mardones. Was it Into the Night? It's pretty creepy. And then, of course, Winger's video for 17. Yeah, you might think was a little stalkery. Of course, my favorite Cars video, it's a video that I think it was their last video they ever did. It was off their last album, "You Are the Girl," and the sexual innuendos in that song, the video anyway, were pretty funny. Like the band's on a spaceship and they go into another spaceship that looks just like a dick going into a vagina. It's pretty funny. But I think they knew that this was gonna be their last album, so they didn't give AF. Well, I will see Sasha Banks Saturday in Baker or no, not Saturday. This Wednesday in Bakersfield. For those of you just getting into the stream, I will be at AEW Dynamite, excuse me, in Bakersfield. Thank you very much. But go check out after this stream, of course. Um, the video "You Are the Girl" by the Cars. Um, my second favorite Cars video is Magic, because strangely enough, my cousin knew the owner of that house in the video for Magic, and I played tennis at that house in the Cars video. AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite is in Bakersfield, California. I've already reached out to several of my friends in AEW. I bought my own ticket. Um, RJ City, the Gun Brothers, and who knows? Maybe I'll really try and get it going and hold up a I Miss CM Punk. Uh, you know, maybe I haven't been on TV in a while. I didn't watch Japanese wrestling in the '90s. There really wasn't a way to watch it. Yes, I bet it is Staggy Waggy. I mean, and well, I mean, Drive that's probably my favorite song. An Earlverse stream live from Dynamite, but I'd have to do it from my phone, and I I don't know if I could read the super chats. Well, you just can't go backstage. But who knows? I have enough friends back there where maybe a backstage pass could be possible. The Earl cam. Well, I mean, maybe I'll we'll see what the first match is. Maybe I know Satnam Singh will be wrestling Daniel Bryan, so that'll be fun to see a man who is legit 7'4". Maybe I'll hold up a sign, Satnam Singh's a homo. Um, Jungle Boy, I've been getting a lot of "you look like" comments when I posted that um, old picture of me with long, greasy hair. I'm the new scapegoat. ACDC 5150 4.99. Thank you very much. Huey Lewis, great song, Walking on a Thin Line, from Scene, with as background music in The Wildlife when Tom Drake and boys eating fries in restaurant. I don't remember the music, but I do remember the scene where they headbutt each other at the table. Of course, that was with the great Michael Bowen, who some of you will recognize as Tommy from Valley Girl. He was also recently in well, not recently, maybe a couple years ago, um, one of my favorite new shows at the time, Animal Kingdom, and Comedy Store paid regular, the great Angel Salazar. So thank you very much, ACDC 5150. I appreciate the financial tip. Um, well, it's funny. I did do that when I went to Full Gear. I missed the Julia Hart match, but I'm kind of excited. I rarely treat myself, and of course, that means I do have to drive to Bakersfield. So, um, I can only go where they're at, but I will hopefully, come back with a good tale. I mean, I'm probably not going to do um, um an Earlverse stream. Maybe pre-show. Maybe I'll pre-game Earlverse. It'll be a very short Earlverse. I plan on getting there early and sucking it all in. Who knows? Maybe that's my new way to become financially independent on this stream, is just to go to live events and Earlverse stream. Uh, have you ever been to Fresno? Yeah, I did comedy in Fresno a long time ago. I mean, not my scene. Big Earl, who's your favorite of the recently passed paid regulars? I would say Carl LeBove. Very funny, like awesome dude. Um, he was basically Kennison's regular opener. And this game is good. Sorry if I'm distracted. It's not really a live watch, but I mean, I'm around so much death that I'm trying to think what other paid regulars passed away. Who's your favorite recently passed paid regular? I'm trying to think. I mean, Carl was great. Jack Knight, unfortunately, gone way too soon. I mean, I think Jack was poised to be like the next Eddie Murphy. And, I think he passed at 28 years old, but he would, when he would bring me up, he would always give me respect. And I always appreciated that. Oh, you mean people who are still alive? I don't mean dead. I mean they were. Chris Riggins is very funny. Um, he's a very good comic. I'm trying to think. Laura Peak is very funny. Um, I mean, there have been so many people pass there, and a lot. You're probably never gonna. You probably don't know any of these names, but Matt Lockwood is very funny. Bruce Gray and his girlfriend Kelly Ryan, they both got passed. They're very funny. Um, and I think yeah. I mean, does Earl like Theo Vaughn? I go back. Yeah. I mean, we used to be closer friends than we are now, but I think when he blew up, he kind of, I don't know, kind of didn't look back. But it's not like we were ever best friends or anything. Uh, I mean, it's probably the opposite, Queen on. I've met a lot of comics who are really funny off stage and just not funny on stage. I am watching the Oilers and the Canucks. Nice bob haircut, Leah Hextall. Looking good, looking good. Um, So, yeah, I mean, Theo's cool. I mean, the last time I saw him, we were on a flight from Nashville to LA. We were both in first class, of course. I mean, come on. I mean, I wouldn't say he ghosted me. I mean, we didn't talk a tremendous amount anyway, to be frank. Um, but I think, that's the business. Now, the streaming gig that I am up for, if I were to get it, uh, I think Theo would be one of the first ones to say, "Hey, congrats." It's just the way the business is. I mean, no, I mean, I get why people don't fly first class. Holy fuck, it's expensive. But I'm just used to it. I don't fly that much anyway, so because I don't do the road unless it pays really well, and at my lack of fame level, uh, the road's not going to do pay well. So yeah, I like the Wayans brothers. I mean, I think Keenan Ivory Wayans is the funniest. I mean, he's so funny. Um, but Marlon's funny, and I loved In Living Color. That was not one of my first comedy influences, um, but it was certainly like right before I started comedy. I was like, I love the humor of this show. Um, yeah, I mean Theo gets great guests. I'm not jealous usually of anyone, but I am jealous of the guests he gets. And he gets Ric Flair, Robert Kennedy. I mean, he got my cousin. You think I could at least get my fucking cousin? Well, I loved In Living Color, especially the early years when you could tell they were hungry, and it was Jim Carrey's pretty much wasn't his first gig because he was in that Clint Eastwood movie, The Deadpool, as Johnny Squares. But it was like his, yeah, and Once Bitten with the great Cleavon Little. Um, but um, I think Living Color was like his first breakout thing, and same thing with David Allen Greer, Tommy Davidson. My favorite sketch from In Living Color was the Funky Finger Productions. Once Bitten was great, great cast. I mean, Cleavon Little, the sheriff from Blazing Saddles, Lauren Hutton. Um, yeah, I mean, but I don't keep up with that Stag War. Like, I don't keep up with Schaub and Theo and Callan and who they're friends with. And I mean, you know, I don't think Theo really gets anything from hanging out with Schaub. Like, he's a much bigger comic. Men on Film was funny. I like the cafe one. They didn't do that many of the cafe sketch, but it was the one where the Wayans sister was the disgusting waitress, and Tommy Davidson was the fry cook, and David Allen Greer was the crazy like homeless guy in the corner going, "I pick a booger on a wall, I eat it," and then he would just go back. Um, but Funky Finger Productions, that was my favorite. I'm Howard Tibbs III, and this is my business partner, Clavel. Let me give you one of my business cards. I'm fresh out, Howard. Bam! I did that once to Tommy Davidson at the Comedy Store. I'm like, hey, you're Howard Tibbs III. Let me give you one of my business cards. And he looked at me and goes, bam! And then he just walked off. I need an energy drink. Hold, please. I did a back and arms last night. Pretty good for 55. Oh, you will see Eleanor Kerrigan as Dice's opener. I did not watch Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I've never really seen the. I mean, I've actually that's not true. I did a show at Martini Blues in Huntington Beach with Theo. This is right as he started doing stand up, and He was pretty funny back then. I mean, for a guy who was known from coming from a reality show, he was better than most. I do love Roseanne Barr, um, but I don't like her political shit. And she wouldn't shake my hand once. I literally was like, you'll let Tom Arnold eat your pussy, but you won't shake my hand." I don't like most celebrities when they give me their political opinions. I don't care that she likes Trump. Yeah, Eleanor is a great stand-up. She should be more famous or whatever the right word is, known, um, than she is. But we got a little scrum here in the 10:37 left. These scrums are great in a game seven because no one's going to go over the line. Um, so, because they don't want to take the penalty. And Vancouver knows you can't take a penalty against Edmonton. It's a goal. Might as well just put the goal on the board. So, Nick, I'm sorry. Is it better to work out early in the day or night? Really doesn't matter. I mean, you'd think in theory it would be better to work out in the morning, because then you have the most energy, and any calories you burn the rest of the day are almost like bonus. But it also, with like me, I get up so late because of my work schedule, that the best time for me to work out is 7, 8, 9 at night, which is unheard of for most people. I did not order the Skippy pies. GNC has been out of them, so um, Dice is great. I'm glad. I knew he would deliver. Can we participate? You have to pay $5 for it, I think. SCVID show. Of course, you're talking about win Earl Skakel's money. I believe there's $1,000 up for grabs. Um, I think they still have spots open. I guess Roseanne's a germ freak. Earl, have you ever tried to get hired in a writing room? No, because I would not be good. I mean, writers' rooms are the worst. You're literally in a room with 20 comics, and every comic goes in order. You pitch your jokes or ideas. You kind of have to fake laugh. Oh my God, that's such a good idea. And you're like I looked at some of the writers on the Jeff Ross roast, or not the Jeff Ross roast, the Tom Brady roast, and I knew most of them, and I knew one in particular, a dude who my ex was on a show with, and like he took credit for a lot of her ideas, because she's you know was is obviously a millennial or Gen Z or whatever, so she knew all like jokes about Kiki Palmer and stuff like that. He didn't know who Kiki Palmer was, and this guy would pass off her jokes as kind of his. um so you're in a writer's room with people like that. um Now, I've written for Dr. Ken on the Alec Baldwin roast, but it was just like I was at home. I wrote for Jeff Ross on, I think, a Jerry Lewis roast or something. I think that was the beginning of the end with me and Jeff. I literally wrote him on like 3 days' notice, probably 50 to 60 really hacky jokes, but that's what roast jokes are. They're hacky. And like he calls me, I send it to him. He calls me, "Is this all you got?" Like, "No, thank you, and I'm not getting paid for this." But at the time, I was like, he did get roast battle on TV. This is my way of thanking him or whatever. And so that was probably the beginning of the end. I mean, they'd have to offer me a lot of money, to be honest with you. But on the like the Tom Brady roast, like, there was probably 20 writers in a room, and like I'm not really known as a writer. I'm more classified as a performer. So I'm not going to be in there with that guy who took a lot of Chandler's jokes and be like, "Hey man, can you tell me if this is good or not, bro?" Fuck off. I'd rather be on the dais. Well, I mean, listen, I don't like talking about him anymore. It's just I've said what I've said. and you guys know how I feel and why I feel. But like, if you go back and listen to Jeff on my podcast, he gave me the bare minimum, and it's like, bro, like an hour into it, he's like, "When is this over?" I'm like, "Why did you agree to do? If you don't want to do it, that's fine." Believe me, at the time, I could have gotten anyone on the show, but I wanted him on because he knew of Charlie Barnett, um, the legendary New York street comic. No, no, Staggy, ask real questions, baby. I enjoy giving you that answer, um, but um, I love answering real questions about comedy. You know, do you think Tony and Nikki wrote their own jokes for the roast? I'd say Tony did. I think Nikki is too busy to sit there and spend hours writing Tom Brady jokes. So I don't know. I would guess Tony wrote. I mean, Tony might have gotten one or two jokes from someone else and he didn't use them, but Tony doesn't really need help writing roast jokes. Yeah, I mean, him and Chappelle used to go see Charlie Barnett, and I think it's Washington Square Park in New York, where Charlie Barnett would sell out the park. He was like the only comic who could sell out the park, and that was you know, I think the problem was we went out to eat before the podcast because I was appreciative of Jeff coming to do the podcast. I'm like, let me take you to lunch. We went to a falafel place down the street from me. And then he wanted to get fucking ice cream. So I think he was in a food coma. Excuse me. This is not carbonated. My bad. Who's an old school comic who's still alive that you wish you could have on the podcast? I mean, Dave Chappelle, to be honest with you. Donnell Rawlings. Because they both, whenever I see Chappelle, he's like, "Hey, Earl, what's happening?" And we start talking about Charlie Barnett. I mean, I think that would be a great interview. Darnell also was a big fan of Charlie Barnett. Um, so I'm trying to think who else. Trying to think of anyone else who's alive from the Dean Martin roast, but sadly, I think they're all dead. Stephen Wright, I would love. I think that would be funny because I think he would do it in character the whole time. Earl, unfortunately, Jim Norton has become lazy, no risk comic, especially on radio. He sold out almost as bad as Stern did. I'll take your word for it. I don't really listen to shows that Jim is on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, William, to be honest with you. No, I mean, I would love to interview Colin Quinn. I mean, during the dark years of the Comedy Store, I didn't think anyone was going to make it. George Wallace, I was going to say him. Sometimes when George is at the Comedy Store, um, he just sits in the back where the door guy is, preventing people from just going into the hallway, and he just holds court. And man, we all just gather around and listen. I mean, George Wallace has been fucking famous for 50 years, man. I mean, I've been doing comedy for 25 years. That's impressive. George Wallace has been famous for it for 50 years. That's even more impressive. I'm not a huge Charlie Murphy fan, but I don't hate the guy. Yeah, my buddy Gary Cannon used to open up for Mitch Fattel. He's one of those guys. He's almost in that. I'd like to interview Carrot Top. I think he'd be a fascinating fucking interview. I'd love to interview Shane Gillis. The Police Academy, Michael Winslow. Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't mind interviewing him. I mean, Jim Carrey would be great. I mean, there's a lot of comics I would like to interview. I'm trying to think. I mean, Dice, I would love to. Um, I've never heard of David Banks. I've heard of David Tyree. No, I respect Sebastian. I mean, Sebastian puts in the work, man. I don't know about Sami Zayn. You lost me on that one. John Lovett's just kind of lazy. Like, he's a nice guy. I've met him, talked to him a few times. but I just think he's famous, so he's not gonna. I don't even think he played his own club, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, I'd like to interview Dennis Miller. I mean, his first comedy album I loved. He had a Dan Tana uh, reference, Benzer. What was it? Dan Quayle is like Benzer in the TV show Vegas. Don't let him touch the T-bird. You have to really um, appreciate. Uh, you have to really know the TV show Vegas to appreciate that joke, but it is kind of funny. Benzer was Dan Tana's assistant on the show, and he was never really allowed to touch the T-bird. So it's like when Dan Quayle was vice president, you don't want him touching the nuke codes. Yeah, I mean, there's probably 100 comics I would love to interview. David Letterman, Paul Mooney before he passed. Um, I mean, Franklin Ajayi, because he was in one of my favorite cult guilty pleasure movies, Convoy. Um, I mean, I don't think many comics like Bill Maher's stand up, but I don't, maybe they do. I don't really walk around polling comics on if they like Bill Maher. I mean, Bill Maher to me just seems kind of bitter. It's like, dude, play the rooms I play, then you'll be bitter. Um, yeah, I love Christopher Hitchens. He kept it real. Yes, Chris Christopherson. If you watch, I mean, that's a great. I've seen Convoy. I swear to God, 1,000 times. Yeah, Jeffrey with the Burt Young reference. You've got Chris Christopherson, who, Chris Christopherson was like the first male in my life, I mean, outside of my dad. Now, Chris Christopherson in Convoy, as a kid, I was like, when I grow up, I want to be like this guy, wife beater, just womanizing, and then you've got Ernest Borgnine as Dirty Lyle, kind of RoboCop type casting where I don't think Ernest Borgnine had ever played a bad guy in his life, and you could tell he really sunk his teeth into the role of Dirty Lyle Wallace. And then a great, Franklin Ajayi has Spider Mike. Poor Franklin Ajayi, if he didn't grow up in the same era and time of Richard Pryor, he would have been huge. But in the 70s, you just couldn't have, unfortunately, two black mainstream comics. It was, one or the other. But he's a great comic. And then who else? Of course, a prime Ally McGraw, and Madge Sinclair's Widow Woman. Um, a great cast. So, and kind of a great story behind the movie that it was Sam Peckinpah's last film. Apparently, he was so coked up he wouldn't leave his trailer. So they called in James Colburn to basically finish the movie. And, I don't know the actual percentage of the movie, but it was essentially improv, like, because Peckinpah was out of his mind. So all the scenes with Borgnine and Chris Christopherson and Ally McGraw and Burt Young and Franklin and Chai were basically like, "Hey, wing it, guys." I don't know what he wants. He won't leave his fucking trailer. Uh, oh, I like Nick DiPaolo. I don't know anything about his politics, to be honest with you. Um, I don't know what that reference is. Cold Sea, Ernie and his son. Oh, I would love to interview Henry Rollins. Uh, Staggy, I didn't. I mean, not really. I mean, I think the closest thing I ever got into punk was, Motorhead was kind of a punk metal band. They had a punk attitude of, hey, we're gonna play hardcore 3-chord rock and kick you in the face with it. Hit the like button, please. I did a show with Paul Reiser at the yes, I agree with you, Max. Max Brangle, I believe you're new to the stream, dropping some Franklin Ajayi knowledge. Welcome, welcome aboard. Bill Cosby, great comic, even better rapist. Um, I mean, I did a show with Paul Reiser at the Hermosa Magic Club. He was all right. I mean, the crowd was definitely excited he was there. Yeah, imagine the girls Cosby dated. They've got even better stories. Um, yes, it was AC/DC. How about the Dead Kennedys? Um, yeah, but I've never seen that dude, Colt C. Um, I mean, Billy Idol's first band, Generation X, was kind of punk. Um, oh, I loved Aliens. I hope they do Aliens in theaters. I would like to see that like I did Alien. Aliens is a movie that anytime it's on, I watch it. Bill Paxton is like me in LA comedy. Hey, don't ask me. I just work here. And my one of my favorite movie scenes is when Gorman and Vasquez, the aliens, have them cornered, and they put their hands on top of each other, and she goes, "You always were an asshole, Gorman," and then they blow themselves up to save the others. I get emotional during that scene. Um, yeah, I mean, Cosby did make Fat Albert. I mean, despite the fact that he was a rapist, that is a good show. Um, I go with Bill Paxton, especially in Pat Benatar's Shadows of the Night, where he ran communication for the Nazis. No wonder they lost the war. Yeah, I mean, there's just something about seeing an older movie in a theater. Like I had seen Alien like a bunch of times on TV, and it was it was good, but like on a big screen, like it was awesome. Yeah, Fisher Stevens. I don't know what Fisher Stevens' nationality is. What up, Gavin House? What up, everyone? Hit that effing like button. We got 30 people in here, only 19 likes. Come on, man. I don't ask you guys for much. Hit the like button, hit the sub button, and anything beyond that is okay with me. Yes, I've been told my voice should be used in methadone clinics to put the patients asleep. So, I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but well, I think you open up these movies to a whole different uh, realm of fans, and Alien. There's no CGI in it, and it's weird. No CGI and all that stuff. It makes for a better movie. Like like obviously I wasn't scared watching the movie, but like you get the chills in certain scenes, like when Yaphet Kotto's about to get killed, like there's no lasers or anything wacky like that. Like I think I walked out of that Fast and Furious movie where they end up in space. I'm like, I can't. I know it's a movie, but I need some fucking reality. I mean, cars in space. I can't, please. No wonder Paul Walker should just drive me into that tree. I can't take this anymore. Hello. That's a Skakel classic there. Um, well, I mean, it's like Predator. Um, we got a breakaway here. Number 28. He's in alone. Saved by the goalie. Sarvos, the Vancouver Canuck goalie, a great save. Now we got, I think, Horvat. Got a scrum in the corner here. 26 seconds left to go. The Canucks over to Hughes, back out to that guy. I don't know a lot of the Canuck players, so I would not be good at play-by-play. I mean, the first Fast and Furious movie I love. Okay, I love Ernest Borgnine. Oh, you mean Ernest Borgnine? Oh, okay. I still have never seen that, but yeah, I know Mike Richter. I was a John Van Beesbrook guy myself. Who has the best voice for comedy? Louis Anderson, Tony, and for Gilbert Gottfried. I don't know, dude. Are you trolling me with that kind of a question? Um, well, I mean, it's pretty amazing uh, to watch some of those early late 70s, early 80s sci-fi movies. Like Blade Runner, the first Alien movie, 2001: Space Odyssey. Really, Jaws was a great movie given the special effects limitations of that era. Yes, Louis Anderson is in heaven, probably eating 7 burgers right now. My favorite Rutger Hauer movie, though, ironically enough, is not Blade Runner. It's probably his biggest bomb. Wanted, Dead or Alive, with the great Gene Simmons, Robert Guillaume, William Ross, and I forget who else was in it, but oh, It's a Real Question, all great voices. Oh, funny voices. I mean, Gilbert Gottfried. There's really no one that comes close to that whiny Jewish voice. I mean, Hinchcliffe's voice is just whiny, I guess. Yeah, well, you said it, Staggy. I didn't. It's not one of my favorite Michael Douglas movies. I don't have a lot of favorite Michael Douglas movies, to be honest with you. Outside of Wall Street, and yeah, it's not. I mean, I'm not a fan, uh, well, you can't go wrong with Mimi Rogers. I mean, my two favorite Rutger Hauer movies are Nighthawks and Wanted Dead or Alive. I mean, Wanted Dead or Alive, I'm not sure why that didn't do better. I mean, '87 was a great year for action movies. Predator, Lethal Weapon, Die Hard all came around that time. It was slightly low budget, you could tell, but it's a really good movie. Adeline Demond, $10, a frequent tipper in the Earlverse. Scarily impressive knowledge of '80s cinema. Yes, Rutger Hauer, great. I mean, he's got a great catalog of films, but I think Wanted Dead or Alive should have done better. It's kind of a loose sequel to Steve McQueen's what was it, the Bounty Hunter uh, movie that Steve McQueen did, but they didn't really tie it in very well. Um, he was also great in Blind Fury with the great Tex Cobb, Randall Tex Cobb. Thank you very much. Yeah, Lady Hawk's a great movie. I mean, he had a great in the I think the Batman movie he was in. Um, Sour Milk, What's Good, Big Earl. Well, I'm trying to do them at 6 p.m. on the reg, but but boy, did Rutger Hauer really age, man. What was that one movie he was in toward the end of his life? And my God, I mean, I know we all age and stuff, but holy fuck, Hollywood ages you. Um, Only in the Earlverse stream could you be talking about Rutger Hauer, and my friend ACDC chimes in with a Blue Iris reference. Some insiders claim Tim Dillon isn't really gay. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't really care, but I would lean into, he seems pretty gay to me, I guess. Um, he's very funny though. I liked him. He's like if he is gay, to me, he's like a gay Bill Burr. Ladybug starring Rodney Dangerfield and Jonathan Brandis. So sad that he committed suicide. He was pretty talented. Um, yeah, Drive. I mean, wasn't it? I mean, I know Rucker Hauer's character in Wanted Dead or Alive. His name was Nick Randall, and I think um, there was some tie-in to a Steve McQueen movie, but they never really got into it. But I love Wanted Dead or Alive. And Gene Simmons was a great. He wasn't in it a lot, but it's one of my favorite endings of a movie. Now, I'm assuming I'm not spoiling the ending in 2024 of a 1987 movie. If you haven't seen Wanted Dead or Alive by now, you're probably not going to see it. But in the movie, Rutger Hauer was promised a bonus if he brought in Gene Simmons alive. And so the end of the movie, he sticks a grenade in Gene Simmons' mouth and he looks at him. He goes, "Fuck the bonus." And he pulls the pin and Gene Simmons blows up. Um, I mean, Grimace and Pain, I try not to, yeah, I mean, Brandis was, it's a tough business. I talk about stand-up comic stand-up comedy being a tough business, and I'm not gonna make it dramatic and say that I've ever thought of killing myself, but if you look at a lot of my comedy friends, I was telling this to someone the other night, I've probably lost 2 to 3 friends a year since every year I've been doing stand-up, and 90% of them is, suicide. Um, Probably the saddest one of those, I mean, they're all sad, but probably the one that makes me sad is a comic that, um, you guys have never heard of because he was, a local LA comic, but he had, I don't know what the disease is, but his right hand was like the hand of some, he was like a regular sized guy, I would guess 5'11", 160 pounds or whatever he was, but his right hand was like that of a giant. Like, he had the right hand of someone who was 7 feet. And, just think you're in a business where you're constantly meeting people. His name was Will. And, when you go to shake someone's hand, anytime he shook someone's hand, myself included, I kind of like stiffened up and I didn't know if I should squeeze it or, I was like scared. And, and he killed himself. Of course, we don't know why, but I would guess that, no, it wasn't Davy Wester. Davy Wester is still alive. Just Googled it there. Wanted Dead or Alive is 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. I really love it. I mean, it's a great cast. Robert Guillaume from Benson, he plays his best friend. Gene Simmons, great bad guy. Um, and then William Russ he wasn't in it a lot, but and a lot of great character actors. Jerry Hardin, who of course most younger people would know from the X-Files, not even younger people, but Jerry Hardin, he was also in an episode of Miami Vice. He had to have been from Texas. He had a real Southern drawl. Um, yeah, but you'd also think that that had to get all like. I would say when I go to the Comedy Store, I literally probably shake on a Saturday night 50 to 100 hands. And with him, he probably felt very insecure. Um, so I'm sure just, maybe one night he had a bad set or whatever, and just yes, William Russ was in Miami Vice. Jerry Hardin he played a DEA agent. I think it was Prodigal Son, if I'm not mistaken. Um, why I forget what, at least on DirecTV, there was a channel that was showing Miami Vice in order, and I still say TiVo. I taped all 5 seasons on, um, I thought it was Access or Stars. I think it might have been Stars. Do you have to shake hands with the comics like the boy? Yeah, pretty much. Did Brody resent that Comedy Central show that exploited his mental illness? I mean, I did. You know, I mean, it was completely taking advantage of his mental illness. Hey, this is funny. Let's watch. Let's watch a guy lose his mind on television. Fuck that. But that's the business. Do you think any Comedy Central exec gave a shit about Brody's actual mental state of mind? Fuck no. Does the Comedy Store have a locker room? They do have a shower in the main room, green room, but it's not a locker room. Uh, I mean, I wanna say it was Stars, maybe about 3 years ago. Uh, that's interesting, William Zoom, I don't know why. Um, well, yeah, I mean, man, but that's the business. It's like Brody's show was kind of reality TV, I guess, and, like, you watch any reality TV show from Vanderpump Rules to The Valley to, any, Survivor, Big Brother, these shows don't show the best in people, they show the worst in people, so people at home can go, "Yeah, my life ain't so bad," you know? Uh, you know, it's just that's why reality TV, look at The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, look at Love Island, look at, Love Is Blind, you're taking advantage of people who wanna find true love by embarrassing them on TV because it's great to watch that kind of thirst trap television. Yeah, I haven't watched that one, but look at, Summer House. I'm talking about the white version, I guess. Um, they fill those people full of fucking booze, and then they have at it. 100% it's scripted. I mean, the one episode of Vanderpump Rules I was on, because they needed an actual stand-up for the show, afterwards, it was really interesting to watch the producers or whoever these people were, go up to, like, Jax and Brittany and go, "Okay, you guys are gonna sit over there, you're gonna talk, and then Stassi's gonna come over and ask Jax a question, and then we want you to react to it." I was like, "Oh." I mean, it was really an education on how reality shows are, done, and then, I think one scene was, "Okay, Kristen, you're gonna sit down after Jax gets up, and you're gonna talk to Stassi and tell him about Jax, blah, blah, blah." Um, so, yeah, I mean, there's very few, um, I think reality shows that are actually real. Yeah, Minding the Store, starring the great Tommy Morris. Well, I mean, I'm sure you could find it somewhere. How many people have gotten it on in the Comedy Store shower? I'm sure more than I wanna know. Yeah, 100% William Zoom. I mean, it's like, wait a minute, they wanna get, Shayna's reaction, when she opens the door, but there's already a camera crew behind her, so huh? Um, yeah, well, I mean, nothing's like when I'm looking for something I can't find on YouTube, you go on Vimeo, there's a lot of like the Bowling for Soup, My Weena video. The only version you can find on YouTube is the one with the wiener dogs. But on Vimeo, you can find the one, where Jared is walking around like a dick, like it's a dick costume. So Vimeo is good to find certain things. And, if you just Google minding the store, I'm sure some, not streaming service, but some illegal, bootleg site has it. I mean, before I was involved in Roast Battle, uh, what's the buzz? Corky in the house. Could check Corky out in a few hours at the Comedy Store, the Ding Dong Show. What's the buzz? Um, Earl, is there a when you see Brian Callen, do you shake his hand? I do not shake Brian Callen's hand. But I don't know if he's banned at the Comedy Store, but I haven't seen him at the Comedy Store since his, you know, offstage problems started. Um, so, uh, oh, okay, never mind then. I'm sorry about that. Um, I mean, I think T Gun, you could snort anything if you put your mind to it. I mean, I don't keep, sorry about that, Corky. Who's more welcome at the Comedy Store, Callan or Schaub? Probably Schaub. Schaub, I think, does Sam Tripoli's Chaos shows, which you don't have to be a paid regular to participate in. Like Eddie Bravo does it. He's not passed at the store. And I think Schaub has done it. Eddie Ift is not past at the Comedy Store, but he does Eddie Ift and Friends. Um, so what year did you start at the Comedy Store? Well, I went up there in 2000, and then after I saw Brody Stevens make an open mic comic cry, I didn't come back till about 2009, and very slowly worked my way in. Got past late. Hold on, I'll show you guys this. This is kind of cool to see. It's my very first lineup I was on. Hold on. It's something that I should be. So here is the lineup from when I showcased December 4th, 2014. I mean, look at that lineup. Chris D'Elia and Brian Callen. Hello! And then here is my very first paid regular set as a comic. Sorry, I'm a neat freak. I can't have this. That lipstick was from my good friend Chelsea Skidmore, who was working the cover booth that night. And a lot of people were very happy that I'd gotten past. So, um, I kept it. I should frame that. Dr. Nova, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Don Barris for the win, yes. Chelsea Skidmore's lips, who is now married with 2 children to the great Stephen Randolph. I have an old piece of one of Jeff Scott's lineup printouts. I'd keep it if I were you, Corky. Annie Letterman was the person who brought me up at the Comedy Store for my first paid set, and you can watch my first paid set. It is on my YouTube page. I mean, I think he had a couple accusations from a couple years ago, sour milk. Yes, Rick Ingram is one of the greats of the LA comedy scene. Him and Ian Bagg, there's nobody better at crowd work than those two. Nobody better. And as Kevin Brennan would say, that's a fact. Hey, before I go, let me thank the tippers tonight. I appreciate all the people who contribute and hitting the like button. The super chat stars tonight: Stagwar, ACDC 5150, and the great Adeline Dimonde. Thank you very much. Thank you to you guys who have hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. I get a lot of people asking me what the best way is to help the stream. Yeah, the super chats and the gifted memberships, and they're great, but hitting the subscribe button is almost as important, because that is what really kind of gets you into the algorithm. The more subscriptions you have, it's just the way it is on YouTube. Yes, and Hackamania is less than 2 weeks away. Hit the promo code Earl for 20% off. For you comics who will be in the Vegas area that weekend, Um, I think you can still sign up. I think it's $5 to win Earl Skakel's money. The Edmonton Oilers just scored. It's 1-0 Edmonton Oilers with 18 minutes and 44 seconds left to go in the second period. Game 7, Vancouver Canucks. Win and you go on, lose and you're playing golf. William Zoom, any comment? Earl, best restaurant in Tampa. I've only been to Tampa for my brother's wedding in 92, 91 actually. Summer of 91, and I remember it was Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know who gets married during Super Bowl Sunday. I just remember during the wedding vows, people would hear the vows and then run to the bar. There's a couple gamblers. Cody Cece scoring, definitely not in my scoring pool of people. Canucks putting the pressure on, so I hope this goes into overtime. Um, Speaking of eating, I can't believe Red Lobster's going out of business. Hard to believe that all you can eat buffet style restaurants don't stay in business. Yeah, it was 91, late 91. No, well, I guess the Super Bowl would have been early 91. Um, it wasn't in Tampa, but I was in Tampa. I forget where the Super Bowl was, but I just remember every guy was running to the bar TV in between vows. Uh, yeah. It's funny, I was in a TV show. I'll end the stream on this. And thank you very much. It's always good when we get about 40 likes in the stream. I very much appreciate that. Um, I was in a TV show. It was the first TV show I was ever in called The Fifth Corner. And it was very much in the vein of that Fox show, John Doe, with Dominic Purcell from Prison Break and William Forsythe. Um, and the Fifth Corner was a show where Alex McCarthy forgets who he is, and he's like a James Bond agent, but he doesn't know who he is. So every episode was basically him trying to find out his identity. And so the first episode airs on a Friday night, and it gets pretty good ratings. Yes, Lincoln Burrows, shout out to Prison Break. And then the second episode, that Friday, we invade Iraq. And so it didn't air for like 3 weeks because if you remember, Desert Storm, Iraq, it was round the clock coverage for like 3 straight weeks. And then they aired it like third episode or second episode, 3 or 4 weeks later, and it just never um, regained the momentum. So that's a great. You talk about um, minding the store being hard to find. If anyone could find me the Fifth Corner, um, I remember the episode I was in. Frank Stallone was in like, woo. So yeah, 99-cent store and Red Lobster. What's going and Bed Bath and Beyond? I don't know if they're going out of business, but a lot of stores are closing in the Los Angeles area. Dolph K, I think you're new to the stream, coming in hot with a Go Whalers take. Come on, man. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, tell me about it, Staggy. Tell me about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying the Fifth Corner would have been like MASH or Dallas, but it was a good show, and there really weren't a lot of stars in it. Let me see if there's even a Wikipedia page for this. Um, Let me see. I mean, I'd be surprised if there was. Of course, Alex McCarthy was also in LA Takedown, which was the TV version of the precursor to the film Heat. Wow, this goalie from Vancouver is playing amazing. All right. Here's the description of the Fifth Corner. A man with no recollection whatsoever of his identity learns that he may be a deep cover special agent. He has to piece together his life, find out who's pulling the strings, and work out if he killed someone and whether he may in fact be a hired assassin. Now, very similar to The Pretender and John Doe. Let's see. Wow, Tim Thomerson was in the Comedy Store, paid regular. I mean, some of the actors who were in Frank Stallone, he was in the episode I was in. Um, let me see. Kim Delaney was in it. Tim Thomerson, of course. Um, Alex MacArthur, he was in all 5 episodes. I got 5 episodes. I don't remember that. Um, oh, here we go. Here's the trivia. Only the 2-episode pilot and the 3rd episode aired. The remaining 3 episodes never aired. That's too bad because, I mean, like I said, I'm not saying this show was gonna be like a massive hit, but, NBC, Friday night, it didn't have a lot of stars in it, so it was financially, um, plausible for a show. It's not like, it had to, they had to spend a lot of money on. Let's see if they have a Wikipedia page for more. And it says it came out in '92. So, oh, there is a Wikipedia page. So here's the main cast: Alex MacArthur is Richard Braun, James Coburn, Kim Delaney. It's only 5 episodes, so it's probably I believe it was probably a mid-season replacement. Ironically enough, under the Wikipedia page where it says similar series, it does list John Doe. Um, so, um, it just, man, you think, man, if that war doesn't happen, probably gets a couple years. Because it kind of was, there really wasn't a show, John Doe was 10 years later. So there really wasn't a show like that on the air, I guess The Pretender. When was The Pretender on? Let's see how it crosses with Pretender was mid '90s, so of course that's with the great Michael T. Weiss. So The Fifth Corner was probably the precursor to The Pretender and John Doe and Nowhere Man. Um, so it's too bad it didn't get a longer run. Such is life in the comedy world. Earl, best lesser known '80s action movie. Probably American Ninja with Michael Dudikoff. I did not watch Tour of Duty William Zoom. So Rob Schneider got to work with Sylvester Stallone, yes, and Judge Dredd, I believe. I love The Pretender too. I met Michael T. Weiss once. There was a restaurant when I was going to Gold's Gym in Venice a fair amount back in the day. Edmonton Oilers just scored again. It's 2-0. Evan Bouchard with a fucking bomber. There was a restaurant called Fresh to Go, which was like a bodybuilding restaurant, if you will. You get like a 12-egg white omelet and stuff like that. And Michael T. Weiss was in there one day. I said, I loved you in The Pretender. And he just looked at me and kind of gave me the answer Todd Rundgren gave me. When I said, hey, I loved you in The New Cars, he just was like, yeah, you were about the only one, kid. I'm like, we're probably around the same age. Hello. Yeah, Andrea Parker was really hot. I think you could still get The Pretender on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. I know. I guess Rob had a funny story. What they had already shot the ending, and Rob Schneider had to uh, start his movie, the next movie he was doing, and then Stallone didn't like the ending, so they literally reshot the Rob's death scene in Judge Dredd at like a green screen studio in like Seattle or something. Um, I mean, The Pretender had like a couple. I think it was like 5 or 6 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, and then a couple movies. My sister still lives next to the older guy in the series, Patrick Bacalai or something. Well, I think a TV show like The Pretender was probably pretty cheap. Um, I don't think it's not like Michael T. Weiss was like a major star, so he probably got paid a fair amount, but it's not like you had to pay him $1 million an episode. Thank you, nationalist. But I think with a show like The Pretender, they probably just ran out of storylines. John Doe only lasted, I think, a year, which was a bummer because I loved. Not only had William Forsythe and Dominic Purcell, but the girl Opie's wife from Sons of Anarchy, Sterling Graydon, I think, or something like that. Um, what guy was in Close Encounters? So who's closing the main room now with Holtzman mostly being in Texas? I mean, I get that spot a lot. Um, no, I don't think it was Sterling Gold. It's William Zoom. Help me out here before we end the stream. Who played Opie's wife in Sons of Anarchy? She was also in John Doe. I guess I could just look it up myself. I'm being a lazy streamer. So, John Doe TV show. Sprague Graydon. Sprague Graydon. John Marshall Jones also in William Forsythe, Dominic Purcell, Jane Brooke. See if anyone else was of note was in it. Not really. I mean, not a very well-known cast, but those are the type of TV shows that make money. Where you don't necessarily have to pay an exorbitant amount to the cast. Your friends probably would have gone on longer, but all those guys and girls were making $1 million an episode, I think, in the last couple seasons. And although they certainly made a lot of money with Friends in terms of the commercials, but when your cost per episode, just the main cast alone, how many people were on Friends? 7 regular cast members. So they're getting 7 million. That's 7 million off the top right there, forgetting the producers, the directors. I mean, you're talking each episode probably cost $20 million. Dang, Earl didn't go to EDC. I did not. I don't even know what EDC is, but I was not there. Thank you very much. Yes, Sprague Graydon. I mean, she's like the go-to plain Jane actress, I guess you'd say. I've never watched one episode of Friends, so I can't say if it's funny or not, to be honest with you. All good, Nick. All good. I hope you told Tracy I said hello. Um, so I think we're going to call it, guys. We'll go another 6 minutes so we can do an hour and a half tight stream. Beyond Wonderland was really nice this year. I don't know what that is, Corky. Um, I mean, I've never seen one episode of Friends. I've never seen one episode of The Sopranos, but whenever I see some of my favorite character actors, I always see that they were in The Sopranos. Um, so I might start watching The Sopranos, which is weird to say in 2024. Oh, okay, I got you, Corky. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure Friends made money, but you know, man, when each episode just with the main cast is, you know, 7 to how many were there? 7 regular cast members on, Friends, so 7 million just right there, but, I'm sure the commercials were fat money, big money, like Super Bowl level fees for the commercials on Friends. No, collaborations with Rob, but, never say never. Um, second favorite Click 5 song, The Angel in You, Devil in Me. Written by Paul Stanley, and the guitar part, the guitar solo anyway, Elliot Easton of the Cars. Third favorite song, Jenny. Fourth favorite song, Let me see what, fuck, it's not in my head right now. It's a really good song. Slow down, fade to black. Na na na. It's let's see here. Looking up a Click Five song. TC. It's off their last album released in 2010. The Way It Goes. Great song. I Quit, I Quit, I Quit is also a good song. Of course, this is the album with new singer Kyle Patrick, who I did speak to during the pandemic. He's like, dude, I want to come to the Comedy Store when it's back. I've always wanted to do stand up. And then that's the last I heard of him. Do the surviving car members still play? Not together, but I think Greg Hawkes would probably get a lot of in demand session work. You know, he's a great keyboard player. Um, so I will, Stagwar. What's your opinion on Eddie Trunk? I mean, listen, sometimes I do feel Eddie Trunk makes it a little bit more about me, me, me. You know, I saw Led Zeppelin. I used to hang out with Stephen Pearcy. I used to do this, and I don't think people care. You know, people just want to hear Jake E. Lee talk about his time in Aussie and Badlands, or you know, when you interview Vinnie Vincent, you know, um, Eddie kind of lets his dislike of Paul and Gene out, and it kind of turns into almost a roast battle of Eddie against Gene and Paul. And it's like, you know, listen, I get it. They probably fucked him over in some capacity, but I want to hear Vinnie Vincent talk, not you. Be that as it may, I think it's pretty amazing that, you know, listen, he's still the only one. 2 more minutes, guys. Hit the like button if you can. Eddie Trunk is really the only one who keeps that genre of music alive. I mean, where else in 2024 can you hear about Shark Island's new album? Um, so, of course, the original singer from the Click Five, Eric Dill, he left after the Greetings from Emery House record because he wanted to be an actor. Now, I don't think Eric Dill was really into the Click Five. You know, it was just like, hey, man, you know, this is basically a prepackaged, you know, manufactured band. I'm a songwriter. I don't want to sing like these gay pop songs. And ironically enough, that's what he's known for. And then Kyle Patrick came in, and you know, they had a good run with him too, but his voice was significantly deeper than Eric Dill. So um, you know, they never really, you know, Eric Dill was in the band, you know, they got on Conan, and I think they did tours with Pink, and I think Jessica Simpson, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and then with Kyle Patrick, well, he was still in the band. They were huge, like Beatles big in Indonesia of all places. I was not a Sherry Curry groupie. All right, we got 40 seconds left, guys. Get your last minute questions in. The end stream arrow is in the firing position. But thank you guys very much. It's been a fun Monday night stream. Um, Tomorrow night, uh, I'm going to try and do a stream. I'm not sure if it will. I will always try and do it at 6 p.m. But you know, sometimes that's not permissible. Ma 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 ma. Pew! All right. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello.